Rise and shine. Today we are talking about the refiner's fire. A couple of places in the Bible, in Malachi and Psalms, um, they talk about the refiner's fire. And there's a couple places in Psalms where it is talked about how we are refined like silver. And, in the refinery of silver, the blacksmith will literally take the silver, dip it into fire, melt it down, and then all of the impurities come to the surface. They'll scrape it off, and then they'll dip it back down. They'll continue this process until the silver is refined. And, they can tell when the silver is refined because when they look into it, they can see themselves. Like, their image is like, it's a mirroring image. So the Lord speaks several times about how he does this as well. Now, obviously, he isn't dipping us into a physical fire, but he is dipping us into the fires of life, like the trials, the tribulations, the tests. And these things are there to purge us. These things are there to bring up the impurities to the surface so that the Holy Spirit can wipe them off. And then we can go back down and have more things come up. When you when you walk with the Holy Spirit and you allow him to do his work, and you allow him to really get in there and purge you with the fire of the Holy Spirit, you will see sins that you didn't even know that were a thing, number one. And you will see things about yourself that you were not aware of, or maybe you felt like that was a you 3 years ago. We definitely change people all the time. Oh no, that's not me no more. That was me 3 people ago. Well, sometimes we don't get rid of those habits. We just tuck them down. Deep inside, and it's always just sitting there lurking, waiting for the opportune moment to manifest back up. But as we walk through the refining fire with the Holy Spirit, these things tend to bubble back up to the surface, but it's a good thing. I know sometimes it gets hard when you are working with the Holy Spirit, and every time you turn around, there's something new brought up on the surface. But think of it very much like the silver. You're going to keep having things brought up so it can be scraped off, and you're going to keep being put back into the fire. But at the end, when the refiner looks at you, he will see himself. And, the Lord is our refiner. And, when he comes back, we will be made perfect, where he can look at himself in us. But we can do a fairly good job in the world with the help of the Holy Spirit. And in Malachi, it says, "But who will be able to endure it when he comes? Who will be able to stand and face him when he appears? For he will be like a blazing fire that refines metal, or like a strong soap that bleaches clothes." And that's just like, that is that ending perfection that we are all working towards. But, in today, and while we live our lives and things like that, you know, the Lord tells us that, "See, I have refined you, though not as silver. I have tested you through the furnace of affliction." And these tests, these trials, like I said, it's all to bring up those things that we have tucked down, that we have forgot about, those behaviors, those habits, those thought processes that we just don't like. They're not on the surface; they're really down deep. And it's the Holy Spirit's job to bring those things to the surface so they can be purged out of us. So, as you go through your trials, as you go through your testing, as you go through your purging and allowing the Holy Spirit to do his job, don't be discouraged because there's another thing. Be encouraged because it's one less thing.